Good morning, traders and investors. Hope everyone's having a good day today on Tuesday, January 10th, 2025. Got a good show here planned for you to keep the week going. Talk just a little macro at the top. We have the second day of U.S.-China trade talks happening in London. Markets a little quiet amid that. We're going to talk about some rotation that Christian and Dennis were noticing yesterday. Getting into a little bit of corporate news, Tesla still the top of mind here. China sales were bad. Robotaxi is going to be launching in Austin this week, but do investors really care about what's going on with Tesla fundamentals? We're going to talk about that a little bit. Also talk a little bit about potential Tesla competition coming out of Uber. Uber is trying here, folks. Meta on AI. There was a report yesterday that the company could buy Scale AI. We're also going to talk about AMD and Taiwan Semi. Couple earnings here, just sort of one overnight. Smuckers. I don't know if we really care about that, but we do have GameStop after the close today. We do also have GitLab. CPI, folks, tomorrow at 8:30 a.m., followed by PPI on Thursday. And of course, a little bit later in the show, we are going to talk some ratings. We had a McDonald's downgrade while shares of Yum getting upgraded. Folks, let's get it kicking here on pre-market prep.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
Christian Fromhertz is back on the attack, sir. We missed you. How have you been?
Thanks very much. Yes, good to be back, guys. Nice time to get away a little bit. So glad to be back, and let's get into some of the morning movers here this morning. You've got crude futures up about 0.4 of a percentage point. It's actually been a nice little climb there in crude futures over the last week, and basically commodities in general. Nat gas futures this morning, they're quiet. They're up about 0.5% this morning. Let's get over to copper futures this morning. Copper futures just down fractionally this morning, down 0.33%. Let's get over to gold. Also, I would say a bit quiet this morning, up 0.3 of a percentage point. Still kind of a little bit of in a range recently, especially comparative to what's been going on in silver. Huge breakout in silver over the last week. Quiet again this morning. It seems like quiet is the theme with some of the commodities this morning. Just down slightly, but look at that performance. I won't go over palladium and platinum, but those things have been absolutely on fire as well. Let's get over to the bond market this morning. Bonds are getting a little bit of a bid this morning, up 0.4 of a percentage point. 0.4 of a percentage point. They've been in a range over the last week or so. Reminder that you get 3 bond auctions this week, the first of which coming today. I believe that's the 3-year bond auction today. I'll double check that, but we've got 3 of them. You get the 10-year and the 30-year later in the week. So that is bond futures. Let's get over to the crypto market. Bitcoin futures, they are off the session's highs, but up 0.6 of a percentage point. A pretty aggressive move over the last couple days. Shakeout happening there back on Thursday. But look at Bitcoin futures all the way back up to the top of its value area for the month. Very impressive. I just want to highlight because there's a big move in Ethereum this morning too. That's up about 7% this morning. So some of the other cryptos are actually up a little bit more than have a little bit more action to them than Bitcoin themselves. At S&P futures, just up at this point about 10 basis points. Last night they were up about 0.4 of a percentage point, almost 0.5% last night, but giving back some of those gains. So just up about 10 basis points. Same thing with NASDAQ futures. I'll just bring that up very quickly as well, just so you can see the chart. A little bit of some back and forth price action in the overnight market, but still green. And then the Russell futures continue to outperform. You've had some really nice outperformance in the small caps. They're up another about 0.4 of a percentage point this morning. So good morning, guys. Dennis, let's get this out of the way.
Oh,
Do your
gosh.
Oilers have a
Oh,
shot?
gosh.
I don't know. I don't know if they do. That was a depressing game. We'll talk 10 seconds on sports. They got the better goalie. They grind. They beat you. They cheat. They do whatever they can to win. Florida gets the final 3 years in a row. It's not by coincidence, folks. Oilers are good, but the rails came off last night, man. And just Skinner couldn't stop anything last night. He's been okay. Edmonton's weakness has always been their goaltending. And the goaltending's been okay up to this point. Last night just came off the rails. He wasn't saving anything. And, they were just giving up chances. It was just a mess. So you got to flush that game down the toilet, move on. You're still 2-1, so you still have a chance here. Come back hard Thursday. I hate this 3 days in between games, though. Like, they're so, the finals. They stretch everything out as long as they can. So you got to sit here and stew about this for an extra day.
Well, that's good for you because you get, if they stretch it out like that, that momentum from last night's game, it's just one game.
That's
and
true.
Maybe it could kind of just, they could hit the reset button after that.
That's true. Way to be positive, Christian. Thanks,
I like
man.
the positivity. Let's stay positive. This is going to be Positive Tuesday here, and let's stick with that theme here. So, Chris, how was your vacation, by the way? You were away for a bit.
Oh, it was great. I mean, it's great to get some time away from the screens a little bit. And I worked several days, but I also took off a little bit too. So just very nice. Also, always difficult to trade on laptops. I always get some appreciation when I come back. That it's like, oh my God, it's so much easier.
So much room for activities
than setting up a remote business, and
completely agree. I don't even try anymore. When I go away, I don't even try anymore. I just get away from it completely. I might look at some quotes on my cell phone or something, but I don't even try to trade. And that's just a good point in itself. Like sometimes, we just go on it, but there's so many people just sitting there and I have to have all my information. It's not even about charts. I just don't have any information. I feel like I'm trading naked from a hotel room, maybe I was, but just there's no information. So it's so tough. So yeah, when you got your setup and you got your habits, I mean, I'm all about the same habits, doing the same thing every single day. And speaking of stocks doing the same thing every single day, buy the dip mentality, Christian. It just emerges on everything, every single stock, it seems like, but Tesla especially. And I kind of want to start with the Tesla talk here a little bit. And then we want to talk, obviously, some Momo names and ARK as well. But Tesla gets cut last week on the Trump-Musk fallout, but you can't keep a good stock down. And it doesn't matter that the car sales are bad. It doesn't matter the China sales that we got overnight for Tesla were in the gutter. None of that matters anymore because Robotaxi is coming and FSD is coming and humanoids are coming and the story is still hot. And Musk and Trump don't seem to be having their family feud anymore. And the stock is on the comeback trail. And even Christian Fromhertz has taken a long position here in TSLA. Tell me about it, Mr. Fromhertz.
Well, yeah, it sounds like they made nicey nice yesterday, but I couldn't believe, in terms of Trump continues to get in any interview continues to get a lot of questions about Tesla, and it seems like it's almost like a bad earnings trade. It's been a few days now since that feud happened, and it seems like it's kind of cooling off a little bit in terms of the intensity that we saw on Twitter and the back and forth. But the price action impressed me yesterday because it did get a downgrade, and the stock traded lower. It was lower pre-market, and I just noticed, that the market that Tesla just kept on coming back throughout the day, and then you heard that in the afternoon, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, we still have this robo-taxi event, and now that's the rhetoric isn't boiling over anymore. And now maybe you can focus a little bit more on events, because I love to trade into events. And I know that, the buy the rumor, sell the news, you got to buy the rumor a little bit of this robo-taxi event. And, that's my thought on that. And I said, I didn't put on a big position, but I'm like, hey, maybe we can now get into the run into the event. And what is so I went long. Were you thinking the same thing in terms of that?
Yeah, so in the STN room yesterday, we were talking about it at 3:03, and I had a couple people that were talking about it. I was like, I like it here. I like the fact that it's rallying on bad news. I like the fact that it's shrugging off. I like the fact that it looks like Musk and Trump have kissed and made up. And I do like the fact that the robo-taxi event is coming. So I said my target would be from 3:03 yesterday. It's obviously 3:16. That's almost there. 3:24, I was given the target for my trade. or for a trade setup on it. I'm still long in the long-term account as well, but up to that's the high from 2-3 days ago, which brings us, back up into range. Like 340, 350, it starts to get tough sledding. But I mean, we're a long ways from there, and there's room here to run. And I mean, just even talking today, this stock is shrugging off all bad news. So we got Wells Fargo reiterating their underweight. Another poor, title of the note, another poor quarter on the horizon. Tesla's Q2 deliveries on track for another poor quarter. So that's what Wells Fargo is talking about. That came out at 6 o'clock this morning. The stock could not care less that an analyst has negative commentary on. Stock cannot care less that China sales over year over or month over or year over year numbers were down like 33%. Those numbers came out last night too. I mean, the company just is not trading on car sales whatsoever here now. It's trading on all future aspects. And if you're looking at this fundamentally, you're scratching your head. But if you're just looking at the tape, Christian, and the trading action, you love seeing stocks rally in the face of bad news. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. And I think we got a good shot to see that 324, maybe even today.
Yeah, and I'll just be looking to kind of hold this for a couple of days because I've seen these events before, not the robotaxi event, but other Tesla events where they're not like they get very technical sometimes in the event. So it's not an event that I want to hold through. I just want to kind of do that trade where it's a little bit of buy the rumor, and I'll be out of that trade actually before the event starts. And I also just Spinner mentioned in the chat too what was happening also with all those names that were getting a lift on the possibility that things like SpaceX, like contracts might be canceled. They
Yeah.
started to kind of give back. I mean, Rocket Labs was up huge yesterday, and you could see the price action in Rocket Labs as Tesla was going up and rising. There was profit taking in some of those names, so Rocket Lab still ended up on the day of like 2.5%, but I think at one point it was up like 8, 9, 10% yesterday. So it was kind of the inverse going on, selling some of that on the chance that maybe that SpaceX contracts don't get touched.
Oh, I think so. And I think the kiss and make up trade, hit a number of stocks, even going up if you just want to talk SpaceX. Tesla lifted yesterday, but DXYZ listed yesterday too. And a catalyst was, right around 3 o'clock, Trump did tweet out, I'm not selling my Tesla. And we're still using Starlink in the White House. So it's like not like hate on for Musk. It didn't sound anything like, oh, this guy here, because, he had a tweet storm and went off the rails a little bit last week, that I'm going to just hold it all against him. It sounded like it was almost a nothing burger for Trump, and that's exactly what the market wanted to hear. And that's why you saw Tesla really rip there on that 3 o'clock headline, but also DXYZ, because it owns a lot of SpaceX, ripped higher on that as well. And I think you're correct to your point. We had this pop in Rocket Labs and some of these other ones where we're like, oh, well, if Musk is going to get his SpaceX contracts canceled here by Trump, then that's going to be good for Rocket Labs. That's going to be good for some of these ASTS and these other names. That trade came off. So, you had the inverse going there. So as Musk and Trump make up, so you got, a list of stocks. These are the Musk Trump, love connection stocks. And these are the ones that if they are fighting and feuding, these are the ones that are going to go up there too. And Rocket Labs and ASTS are two that would benefit from a Musk Trump fallout. But who else benefits from, this Musk-Trump reignition here is Cathie Wood. And she's got a lot of names that, and obviously her biggest holding in ARKK is Tesla. And you've been saying, Christian, she's been running here. I mean, just quietly since April. We talked about the comebacks in April. She's up almost 60% on her fund since April. So I know longer term she hasn't done great, but I tell you, in the last couple of months, the growthy tech stuff has been the best place to be. And she's in a lot of growthy tech, and she's even got a new name she's added.
Yeah, I was noticing just how well this has been performing, and which makes me a little bit scary because I remember back in February that this was trying to break out, and those stocks were kind of leading, and then they got thumped when we go back to the middle of February. So it's to me it's very interesting to watch how aggressive and look at the volume, by the way, on Friday, which was huge. So on the recovery after the momentum kind of remember on Thursday some of the momentum stocks got hit, saw reversals, and I was wondering if we were going to start to see the momentum trade come undone, but comes raging back on Friday and breaking out here. And to your point, in terms of how she's trading and what she's added, she added the Circle Group, the new IPO name. She added that into the basket of her stocks in
The
the
main
ARC portfolio.
ARKK fund.
Yeah, and she didn't do it like in terms of small. It's the 6th top weight in the ARC Innovation ETF. So
she don't mess around.
no, and that's 5.6%.
Nobody told Kathy about 2-week cooling period on IPOs. She's all in on the day one. It looks like there. She's bought $350 million worth of Circle Group, and that actually is 5.65% of her flagship value there. So this is a huge position, actually. Like you said, number 6, $350 million worth. So CRCL is moving higher. And just to add to that, so Kramer, a caller asked him, what do you think of Circle? What do you think of Circle? And he was talking Circle. And he said, look, I like the company's growth here is fabulous. He's like, I cannot recommend something like this with this type of valuation. But we know Kathy, she don't care anything about valuation. She never did. She throws valuation in the garbage. Growth at any cost. So if it's got high growth, she's going to go buy it. So it's number 6 already, day 3 of trading, and she's all over it. Tesla's still her number 1 position in the ARC Core Fund, ARKK. 10.44% is Tesla. So, but look at her top holdings. They've all been killing it. Tesla, then Coinbase, then Roku, ROKU. That's been marching back. Roblox has been a monster. I sold that way too soon. Then number 5 is Tempest AI, which is a stock that a lot of people talk about, TEM, but that's even perking up here. Number 6 is Circle. CRISPR Therapeutics, we had somebody asking about that yesterday, and I'm like, it's been a bad place to be, but it's even perking up. Then she's got the Palantir. Of course, she's got the Palantir. Shopify, and number 10 is Robinhood, which has obviously been on the bounce back trail too. So she's hot right now, Christian. Are you getting down dirty buying some ARC?
This is, well, first of all, like, that's a gutsy call to put Circle in your portfolio and put it at 5.6%, 6th top holding. I mean, so these are gutsy calls. And yeah, I mean, this is growth on steroids when you go through those names, and these stocks are very hot right now. I mean, we didn't talk, Robinhood as well, but Robinhood had a pretty darn good recovery. I thought that dip was going to get bought too, and it's also like, even if you're not trading some of these names, it's interesting to kind of watch what happens. You get a dip in some of these names. I think Robinhood was down around like 5% yesterday on the no inclusion into the S&P. And look at it bounce back. So, I mean, these dips are getting bought really quickly in some of these names. So, we started with Tesla talking about the dip being bought, but, watching some of these names, they're not staying down for long.
What about a stock like Circle? Let's just dive into a little bit more detail here. Like, I don't usually like to trade something until at least it's been out there for a couple of weeks usually. Like, I know, actually, I shouldn't say that because I tried to short it yesterday. You can finally get borrows on it. I couldn't get borrows the first 2 days. I was like, oh, and I did try to take a little short day trading short, which actually I scratched out on. And I was like, I just can't touch this stuff. It moves too quickly. But, is this something that you look at, Christian? Can you trade stocks on day 3? Do you do it?
I normally don't. I'm with you with that and kind of waiting how things kind of settle in. But some of these things, you try to participate a little bit, and try to like do what you're comfortable with, because if you're not, you're missing out on performance. I mean, from the stock to kind of debut at 75 and go to 120, and we just saw this too with a very similar ticker symbol, which has been CoreWeave, which lit on fire. So I think now you've got people watching these names as they debut, and they're not waiting for the logical couple weeks. Like, they're going after these things. They're YOLOing like Kathy in some of these names. CoreWeave's another one. And eToro was strong. Now, I didn't know that this name was reporting earnings this morning, but this has also been another one that all of a sudden, like, it gets the momentum to these things. So it's very interesting to see some of these newer IPO names. Sometimes they kind of cool for a couple weeks, to your point, but right now we're not seeing like that much time go by with these names.
I didn't realize eToro had reported earnings here this morning, but it did at 7 o'clock here this morning. So trying to jump in.
You want to go through I can give you the numbers really quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
But I don't know if it was scheduled. I saw some
Oh,
people
I
wondering
never
about
saw it
that.
on the schedule. Like what I had this morning was just ASO, SJM, and DBI were my main 3 companies. I did not have eToro. So yeah, let's jump. Let's talk eToro for a second.
So first quarter adjusted EBIT 80 million versus 87. So that's a little bit of a decline there. Also first quarter net 60 million versus 64. Total revenue and income $3.7 billion. Performance of the business through May 31st reflects continued progress and interest in trading and investing from retail investors in response to market events. So not, I would say, the best of numbers, but I think it's just the momentum trade right now. It dipped a little bit, and then again, we'll see how long the dip lasts in this thing.
But something to consider is that this company actually makes money. So it's nice when you see these companies come out and they're actually profitable, because there's so many of these that come and they have no path to profitability. It's going to take years. I mean, eToro, coming public here is a profitable company here right now. And if you're doing that PE, just doing the quick math, it's trading only 32 times earnings. So it's not like it's like nosebleed valuations. Now, again, it is, brokerage. So, I mean, if we just do comparatively speaking, Robinhood is trading at 41 times earnings, and Robinhood is the best of breed of the best of breed. So, I mean, you want to pay 32 or pay 40 for the best of breed. Maybe you want to pay the 40 for the best of breed. But interesting, that it's profitable. So that's one good thing going for it. I mean, technically, the stock's at all-time highs. So hard to be bearish. I always thought when stocks make a new high, you don't want to be shorted. I don't like shorting stocks. It's like my cardinal rule. Don't short stocks making new all-time highs, at least not for swing trades. Wow. And
I
it was a
mean,
huge reversal yesterday, too, because one more thing, quiet period ended yesterday. You had a lot of analysts coming out that were bullish the stock, but the stock opened higher and then tanked, and then just reversed, very quickly back up to the highs. What were you going to say, Christian?
I was just going to say, it's interesting that you've got a couple of these names now. For a while, like people were looking at the Webull, which has gone kind of quiet. And it's
Really
like kind
quiet.
of like the flavor of the week or the flavor of the month. But this one is really kind of it really kind of cooled off. But I saw like just a lot of people, on message boards and that kind of thing were looking at Webull, but this has really quieted down. And then it's funny how the shift goes. There's a new shiny toy out there, which is eToro. So, I, are you trading this, or like I myself, like I'm sticking with Robinhood and I'm buying dips in Robinhood. I think like other than a new shiny toy to kind of trade, I don't know if these things are going to grab market share like Robinhood. What do you think?
No, and I'm with you. I think if I was investing in AIM, it is Robinhood, and I've had a couple good trades off Robinhood in the longer term account. Wish I would have held them, but it's hard passing up those quick gains that we had back in April. Obviously, wish I would have held the stock that I bought at like $38 for Robinhood. But Vlad is just, we've been talking about this in the STN room too. Like who's executed better than Vlad? He's been all over everything. They're talking about getting sports betting and everything on there now too. They're just on everything, and they have a huge customer base. Yes, their customer accounts are smaller, but they just have so many accounts. And as these people continue to get older, they're going to get more money as well. The average client, Vlad said, is 35 years old in Robinhood right now. So imagine in 10 years, as that average client gets a little bit older and gets a little bit more wealthy, that only helps Robinhood's story as well. So I love the Robinhood story. Obviously, it had the hangover when it didn't get added to the S&P. But just because it didn't get added to the S&P on Friday doesn't mean it's not getting added to the S&P. I firmly believe Robinhood will probably be the next company to be added to the S&P when they eventually do it. And one thing about S&P is they don't like being told what to do. So we didn't talk about this before, but we've seen this happen. When, they're like, add Tesla. When are they going to add Tesla? Tesla. It was like a year and a half later, they finally added it. So when you got a Bank America note coming out and saying, yeah, they're going to add Robinhood, they don't like, and the whole entire world is so much speculating that they're going to add Robinhood that the site goes down from everybody refreshing it on Friday. They may have just been like, screw it, we're going to wait a little bit here because we don't like being told what to do. So I think there was a little bit of that in there too. I do believe Robinhood is going to get added to the S&P, and that's going to be a catalyst. And I think the stock is eventually going to see its all-time high of $85 once again. So I stay bullish Robinhood. buyer of dips. So I'm with you, Christian.
Last note on this too, which I thought was interesting, was Vlad was at the White House yesterday, and he did mention, he tweeted out yesterday that that they did discuss this initiative that was mentioned yesterday, the $1,000 for brokerage account for every American at birth, which I immediately, cracked a joke on that, because I'm like, geez, is the average user, are they old enough to have kids ever? But you mentioned 35, so that's in the realm of,
that's when you start.
Yeah,
or
so
even
so
that's
they're
in the
getting set up
wheelhouse
for these things.
He's all over everything, and now he's friends with the president there too. So that goes a long ways as well. So we're all we're on the same page. We both like Robinhood. I think it's best of breed of all these companies here. And I don't know with Webull. I've been trying to trade, and I've been day trading. I'm actually long a little bit of a here right now, just as a day trade here. But I mean, this stock has just gone nowhere. It's just like flatlining here. I do think the $10 SPAC level, the old SPAC levels, do come into play, and I think there is some support probably down there at that $10. And valuation's not ridiculous here anymore. When it got to 80, it just had no business being there whatsoever. I mean, when this company was approaching the market cap of Robinhood, that's as dumb money as dumb money can be. Webull is not Robinhood. So I mean, now it's come back down, and the valuation is definitely getting more reasonable here. So I don't mind it at $10. I've contemplated taking a longer term position in Webull here, but again, you never do great when you don't buy best of breed companies. So I think I'm sticking with best of breed with Robinhood.
Gotcha. Same here. Do we want to shift to the semis? Talk a little bit about the semis. Taiwan Semi last night came out with their monthly numbers. So TSM, let's see if I can, which is rallying, still rallying this morning. Did you notice the what was going on in the semi? While I get the numbers up for Taiwan Semi, did you notice what was going on in the semi trade yesterday?
Yeah, the chip trade was just hot, and we were talking about it in the STN room when we were seeing the market flat and slightly red. I was like, do you see these chips though? I mean, if these chips keep going, it's going to be hard to keep this market down. And AMD had a day, man. It was moving up. Nvidia was doing really well in the morning, keeping the market up, but then it eventually did give back some of its gains. But AMD ended up the day up 4 points. AMD is up a little bit here again this morning. Lisa Su is going to be on CNBC somewhere between 4 and 5 o'clock on that. I don't know if it's closing battle show or whatever. The one with Morgan Freeman so that can be a catalyst as well when you have these CEOs appearing on CNBC. Sometimes it can be a catalyst too. And AMD has just perked up a lot. I'm still long AMD in the long-term portfolio. I had added to it basically right at the bottom. I think I actually got I'd have to go back and look at the STN room for the alert, but I think it was like $78 I bought, or $80 I bought on that. I got added to the position. And then the next day was the Trump bump where he, did the kick the tariffs down the road. And I made like 21% on that in one day. And I was like, I got to take that gain. You make 21% on something in one day, Christian. You're almost obligated to take it. So I did sell those shares, but I still kept my core position that I've had in the long-term portfolio for a while. So my whole fade trade, it's funny. I came out with that acronym at the beginning of the year, fade, because I thought this was going to be a really choppy year, and I thought the contrarian was going to be back, which it has kind of been. And then the other stocks in my fade trade were just awful. There was AMD, Dell, and Etsy. Those have all come back too. AMD is back up above where it was. I don't know if it's up on the year. Dell has come all the way back up, and Etsy has just been a complete monster. So, funny, that we went that way. But taking it back to the chips here, AMD had a day. It's looking still decent. Lisa Su coming on. And then Taiwan Semiconductor looking good too.
I was just going to interrupt you for just a second too, because they also have an AI, or it's an advancing AI event. That's on the 12th, so that's on Thursday. So you've got a little catalyst there too for AMD. That was part of the reason why it was up so much. Analyst Chris Danley over at I believe Citi yesterday gave them a bump yesterday. They expect AMD to launch its new AI product MI355X. Not sure what that is, but I'm giving you the actual chip name. And he says that AMD has a few advantages over NVIDIA. While Denali sees NVIDIA capturing over 90% of the AI GPU market, he believes that this new chip will feature more high bandwidth memory than NVIDIA's B200 series and have sustainability, have just substantially lower pricing. So there you go. There's a nice positive note out from AMD. This was
Eh,
yesterday, but
yeah. And
but
it's Morgan Brennan. I can't believe I said Morgan Freeman. It's Morgan Brennan, which is, I love Morgan Freeman, by the way. He's one of my favorite actors, which is probably why I slipped on that one. But no, unfortunately, CNBC did not hire Morgan Freeman as their new anchor for the 4 o'clock show. Obviously, it's Morgan Brennan. So sorry, Morgan.
I was gonna ask you about that. I thought that would be a nice
I
nice
don't even
addition.
know why it popped out that way. It's funny the crap you say when you're a little bit tired from watching a late Oilers game and you're just spilling out. And I talk a mile a minute there too sometimes. So sometimes the words come out. And my kid makes fun of this for all the time. I'll say something wrong, and then the kid will just make fun of me for 3 days. A 10-year-old boy make fun of me for 3 days on it. So the chat might as well do it too. I say stuff wrong all the time. My brain sometimes my mouth's going faster than my brain is.
It's funny. I do that too, and I'll just keep going. Like I don't even know that it happened, So you need somebody to kind of tell you. From a technical,
I didn't know that happened either. And then the chat, when did they hire Morgan Freeman?
I just went right by it. I'm like, I don't know.
Keeps us honest.
From a technical standpoint, because I wanted to review NVIDIA, the technicals too, but 122.50 is the level to watch there in AMD. Also, NVIDIA keeps butting up against trying to break out the levels like right around like 143.50 that I'm watching in NVIDIA. But NVIDIA was strong yesterday and it did give back some of those gains. So still, while I just wanted to show one more chart and then I'll get to the Taiwan Semi actual news.
This was a hell of a tangent.
Yeah, really. So there's the SMH ETF, which has been outperforming the IGVs, the software stocks recently, is 256.76 is a level that I'm watching too. We've kind of stopped right there, but it's been a really nice move over the last week. Now I'll get to the Taiwan Semiconductor news. They had, let's see, Chipmaker reported May sales that are seen as strong, which point to resilience in AI demand. So it continues to kind of be the same thing. We're not seeing anything kind of you're not seeing any story change in terms of AI. We're still seeing that they're just ramping up. Seeing ramping up purchasing. I guess there's some perspective here is that maybe folks are doing this before the tariffs kick in. That would be a little bit interesting. So we'll kind of have to watch to see how that develops in months to go. If people are just ramping up their buying ahead of the possibility of tariffs and like getting in front of that uncertainty. But regardless, the sales numbers were strong, year over year plus 39%. The monthly sales were down a little bit, 8.3%. But overall, the market likes the numbers, and you can see Taiwan Semiconductor, which has quietly had a nice run here too, is up this morning and around pre-market highs.
All these stocks just had the V bottom. You're just looking back here and saying, is this the new norm that we're just going to see V bottoms, Christian, and they don't give you the second chance? Because technicians, we've had some good ones saying, oh, there's always a retest of the lows. We have seen, the COVID low is the same thing. It never retested. The V bottom for the Trump tariffs never retested. And so many stocks look the same. Taiwan Semiconductor, NVIDIA. I mean, SPY really is the same chart here too. There's just V bottoms here everywhere. I mean, is this the new norm? Is that this market just doesn't give you a second chance at the lows?
I mean, one thing that I think is kind of interesting is just how fast some of these moves are. I mean, we've both have been trading for a long time. And I don't remember markets like changing this quickly. The moves are just vicious. And again, like it happened on the downside too. I mean, I did think that we got a little bit stretched to the downside, and we really kind of got hit there going all the way back to April. But that was kind of a washout type situation. But it is impressive to see the market come all the way back like this. Still, what is mind-boggling to me is we still have nothing from the Fed. So, it's just there's been a lot of buy the dip mentalities out there and running rampant.
Hard to shake that by the dip mentality. No guest today. We had a guest canceled 2 days in a row, which is the first for us. Usually we don't get guest canceling, but something comes up sometimes, and we get late cancellations here, and one canceled this morning here too. So you're stuck with me and Christian, but we haven't seen Christian for a week, so we're excited to keep picking his brain here. Did you watch the Apple event?
I didn't watch it live. I was just watching the headlines come up. That's a good stock to talk about too, which we're just kind of, it's interesting that just kind of that event just gets glossed over. A couple of years back when they have one of these conferences, like everybody's tuned into Apple, like what are they going to announce? There was low expectations on this, and they delivered with the with the low, the low bar, and they kind of hit the low bar.
They just have nothing going on. I mean, It seems like we're all waiting for that next big innovation, and really it hasn't happened since this. And we're all waiting, and I thought Vision Pro was going to be it, but that didn't work out. And I mean, okay, there's stuff with the apps, and there's stuff that they make a little other stuff for the iPhone there, but I mean, this is just an iPhone company at this point in time. And to your point here, Christian, it ran up a little bit in the event. I was long yesterday overnight, and it worked out. But we said on the show yesterday, I mean, it's like clockwork. It might be up a little bit in the event, but it almost always sells off on the event. And it does the exact same thing again. Stock was 205 at 109, and then the event, and they see that there's not much happening here, and the stock went straight down to 200. Did bounce off the 200, the psychological level there, but again, just Apple, just the innovation is just not there. And I don't know when it comes back. So, I mean, right now you're looking at a company trading 28, 29 times earnings that has no growth whatsoever to be seen, but, does have a lot of cash and buybacks and stuff that has obviously, driven the price. The buybacks have been a huge driver of the price that's moved up here. But I don't know. There's so many growth stories out there. And then you have Apple, and it's just like the non-growth story. Makes it tough for to say, okay, yeah, I want to get an Apple at this point in time because the growth is really coming. There just doesn't look like there's anything coming.
Yeah, and this one I think is trading on the technicals too, with lack of a major catalyst. The pattern that I see since it peaked out right before the end of 2024 is you got a series of lower highs. So this is very easy technical stuff going right here. You've got your high back at the end of the year. It tried to rally again in February. It did rally, but it made a lower high. And every subsequent try at a rally has just been met with, it's just in this pattern of making lower highs. So I think it's got to really turn above this 213 level, because again, sometimes the catalysts, I don't think any of us really know, in terms of how big any of their products are going to be, unless you're really kind of going into an Apple store and are impressed by something. But I think really for this to kind of change, it's got to get out of that pattern of lower highs. And I think you could also think about Apple too, in terms of how Dennis trades it, from a relation standpoint, when there's some fear, on the tape, sometimes Apple can act as a safety play in tech. And I think for now, that's how you got this name pegged until they come out with something, some new shiny toy in terms of feature for this name. Because like you said, I don't think they're still going to make revenue. There's nothing moving the needle for them right now.
Zuck is trying to move the needle, and Bloomberg is reporting that Zuckerberg is hiring a new super intelligence AI team. And obviously Meta is trying to find growth wherever they can. The valuation of Meta is less than that of Apple too. So Meta has been a stock that has come all the way back here too. I mean, all these charts, it's funny, you put them all on top of each other, they all look the same. You had the February highs, the April lows, and then back to the February highs in June. I mean, it's just the V bottom everywhere here, Meta included. But he's building an AI team in tandem with a reported investment over $10 billion in Scale AI. Adding the Scale AI founder, Wang, was expected to join the AGI group after a deal is done. That's pretty much, the story. It's not a lot of details here, but super intelligent.
He's hiring a team. I don't know if that's really I don't. Are you on the team? Are you on the AI team?
No, that'd be good though.
I didn't get a call either
I think I could come up with some good AI stuff for Meta, but no, I didn't get hired by Zuck for the AI team. But it's up 7 points on it here. So up another 1%. And I mean, This stock has come all the way back here too. It hit under $500 in April, and now we're within striking distance of all-time highs, which is $740. Valuation on Meta has always been a little bit more reasonable than the others. If we're looking at Meta, it is trading only 27 times earnings. So it has moved up, but if I was looking at it a couple weeks ago, it was 22. So it's 27 times earnings, but big move here from Meta. Is this one you get down and dirty in, Christian? Have you been trading the Meta?
I haven't been trading that many of the Mag 7 names. I just think that there's been some other places to go to as well. And there's one other stock that too. I'm sorry, I'm going to just talk about this name really quickly, but there's a story out this morning too about IBM to build fault tolerant quantum computer by 2029. It's not a stock that we brought up kind of in the news this morning, but I just wanted to mention it because it's getting a little bit of a lift this morning, and just very sneaky move. IBM made it out to new highs, while the other names kind of get more attention. IBM kind of quietly has been grinding higher here, and got a little bit of a story about quantum names this morning. So IBM plans to deliver the first scale fault tolerant quantum computer at a new quantum data center in Poughkeepsie. So they've got a big headquarters there in Poughkeepsie, New York. IBM Quantum Starling seen performing 20,000 more operations than today's quantum computers. So got a little bit of a play there, and nice bounce here pre-market. So again, you kind of mentioned this quantum stuff, you mentioned the AI stuff, and you got a new move. But is that a stock that's been on your radar or focus list?
Well, it was before, and I was long IBM in the long-term portfolio for a while, and I actually bought it at like 130 last year. My one computer just went down, so I'm actually going to have to reset it here. Oh, my internet went down actually on one computer. It's done that before, but so now I don't have charts. But IBM, about 2 years ago, it might have been. And I took a lot of heat for that buy. I said it publicly, and I was like, this is an AI company. It's going to be, a mover, and it's a value AI company. It was because it was trading 14 times earnings at the time. And I'm like, I think this is, going to figure it out, and it's going to be a player here. I sell way too soon, which I always do, Christian. I can't remember where I sold, maybe 160 or 170. I think $274. I'm like, I need to stop selling stocks. I need to be like Joel Elconin and just buy a stock and just hold on to it like Warren Buffett forever. Because some of these stocks that we bought 3-4 years ago, if we just would have held on to them, would be up substantially. And especially the ones I bought 10, 15, 20 years ago would be up substantially. So I need to stop trading the long-term portfolio. But when you do these live shows, people are telling you about your positions all the time. They're telling you, what do you do with your IBM? Because they know we're in it because we say it. And then it's like gets you thinking about it more. The best thing you can do is when you get good companies at reasonable valuations is don't think about them anymore. Put them in there and don't look at them anymore. But I look at them and then I trade out of them and then I don't get back in. And then I look at IBM up 100 points in the last year and I think, how the hell did I miss this one when I called it? So yeah, disappointed with IBM. I'm going to quickly just reset my computer. Just 1 second. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I just kind of point that one out. I've been looking at some of the quantum stocks too. The one that I keep kind of coming back to is this QBTS. But all of these, they look kind of interesting to me. QBTS had a real nice day on Friday, kind of scaled back a little bit yesterday, but right into support. So that's a quantum name that I'm still watching. This INOQ, didn't close on the highs yesterday, but also some of these charts, they still look compelling to me. What's the other one? QUBT, also in this space, also had a nice day. That's a nice move in QUBT that happened yesterday. So I think this theme is still in play, and I find it interesting when we hear like a new player come on board. So I wanted to mention the IBM news. We also have some.
Stick with quantum just for a second. I just want to comment that just for a second here, Christian, because I snuck back in. That was a really quick reset. We're in this market where valuation doesn't matter at all right now. You can clearly see that, and fundamentals like Tesla sales, and obviously, stocks like Circle and, other stocks that are ripping and trading higher on these IPOs. So, I mean, this is kind of the perfect environment for quantum stocks too, because most of these companies have no path to profitability anytime soon. But a sexy story is what this market wants right now. And that quantum story is still there. And I think even talk about a stock like IONQ, which, has come up substantially, has pulled back here now. Are you looking at getting in some of these quantum names here? Because I tell you, the story is starting to get hot again.
I have the QBTS on my radar. It's on my watch list this week. I also just brought up the quantum ETF too, which I think is an interesting way to play it. You got to be careful with some of these ETFs. So I do own this one, but
Yeah.
again, like if you're thinking it's a pure play on some of those names, if I just want to, just going to go over some of the names here in this
Yeah.
ETF, because you always, whenever you're looking at one of these ETFs, you can't just go by the name. You got to look to see what's in there.
Yeah.
And QBTS is the top weight at 7.2%. Next component down, which is only 2.4% of the ETF, is actually Palantir. So Palantir, they have
Doesn't
this
seem
in
like
the
a quantum name.
Yeah, it's not really a quantum name, but I think they're kind of like looking kind of indirect quantum things. Like you got a Snowflake in here, and then you got a lot of chip names, like a Clack is in here. Believe it or not, Alibaba's in here. So it's a really interesting play, but it's not just those names of the RGTI and the IONQ. There's a bunch of other names in here too. So regardless, as we went over the semiconductors, so a lot of semiconductors in this ETF. This is actually at new highs. So it did make it, consolidated a little bit there for a couple weeks, but it actually broke out to new highs in the quantum space. I don't even think IBM is not in this ETF too, but maybe that's just because it's too new. At least I don't think it's in there. But in any event, yeah, I do like this space. But again, it's like anything else. Like, if you're in a couple of these quantum names, like you've got to have alerts on these names at all times, because they could be up 5%, they could be up 10%,
They move.
they could also be
They're
down
wild.
8% too. So, you gotta, these are like, you got to keep two eyes on these names, or you size them appropriately so that a 5% or 10% move is not going to affect your overall portfolio. So it's a very important to kind of think about your strategy before you get into one of these names, because they are not for the weak at heart in terms of the momentum and how they can move on a day-to-day basis.
Couple quick earnings stocks here. Let's start with Smucker. It's your loser of the day. I don't know if anybody likes to trade jam, but if you do, SJM has disappointed here. I'm going to give you the numbers here right now. It's trading down 8% in the pre-market. They reported 231 versus 224 and 2.14 versus 2.18. So a beat on the bottom, a miss on the top, but the guidance is not good. They're seeing 2026 earnings 850 to 950. Analyst estimates were way up at 1026, so that is light. So the stock is down. It's obviously got the nice dividend. This is a lower beta stock that typically doesn't move. I mean, look at this chart. I mean, it's been between 110 and 115. It feels like forever. So this is a big outsized move for this stock. I think you have good support down $100. You still think about this stock, trading like 10 times earnings or 11 times earnings. Doesn't seem too bad to me, but I don't know. This is not a sexy story, Christian. I don't know if you're going to be jumping into any jam. I'll also do at the same time the other earnings stock. I don't even think Christian wants to talk jam. ASO was your other earnings stock, which is Academy Sports and Outlook. They missed on earnings. They missed 76 cents versus 90 cents, 1.35 billion versus 1.37 billion. And they widened their guidance. So you don't have to see widen, but they were at 570 to 625. So they widen the lower end and they widen the upper end. And that's probably due to tariffs. They don't know what's going on. They actually say it. Academy Sports reveals tariff mitigation actions, says it reduced its cost exposure to approximately 9% of total cost of goods sold directly related to China for its private label business, and plans to further reduce this cost exposure to around 6% by the end of the year. So they are trying to mitigate tariff exposure here, but they widen the goalposts. And stock actually trading up on this ASO. You get down and dirty in some Academy Sports, Christian?
Well, I wanted to go over SJM just for a second, but you're
yeah.
right.
Okay.
It's not my jam, SJM. So I'll throw that in there.
Not his jam.
But I just wanted to mention, like, the consumer staples group. Like, this is not in favor right now. You could see too, like, just looking at the daily chart. This is the XLP ETF. Again, just to kind of go over relationships, and I know that's what you're all about. But this is trying to break out now a few different times, and it just doesn't have the power to do it. This group is not in favor right now. The consumer staples type group. So, that may change at some point, but for now, like this group just is not in favor. We could go over to ASO now. This name's been below its 200-day moving average. It's been it's been an underperformer as of recently. So, but sports names, I think that there's a couple that I do like. So nice boost here. Maybe the expectations were a little bit low on it. I still see it below the 200-day moving average, but I also like this. If I have the right name here, American Sports. Now I'm waiting for a dip in this thing. This is your Louisville Slugger, as well as a few other companies that
What's
go
the
into
ticker on that one?
just AS.
AS.
So it's again, like some of these names that had good earnings, they're just not coming in enough, which is
Yeah.
kind of trapping people out.
Yeah.
But this would be one that I would be watching for a bigger dip. But yeah, this is like the Louisville Slugger, and it's a bunch of other names. I think it's Solomon too. That's also in American Sports. So they own a bunch of small companies. So, but kind of interesting company. So this is one that I would be looking at for a dip.
I've gotten the chat's talking a couple of stocks, which I'll go to them right now. I want to start with Boeing, though. Actually, JJ is asking about a technical look on Boeing, and this stock has been a monster move, and it seems like it's just going up. And when the market goes down, it doesn't go down. When the market goes up, it goes up. Everything is looking good at Boeing here right now, at least from a technical basis. The stock obviously bottomed with everything else in April when they threw out everything at $128. It's $218 here now. So the stock has had like an 80% move here in the last 2 months. It's a big move, so you're chasing here. But it's been a consolidation station also for a lot of May, just above $200. And now it looks like it's resolving itself to the upside. Are you getting down dirty to Boeing?
I did. I actually got long Boeing yesterday, and
Nice.
I know that's kind of tough because people look at the move that it's made, and no doubt it's made a huge move from the lows. I just think, and I had said this a couple months ago too, and I never pulled the trigger on it. But knock on wood, because I certainly don't want to jinx anything with Boeing. But we know that this company has had issues. But I think, the new CEO coming in is kind of, really what the company needed. And I compare that a little bit to what happened with GE. GE a couple of years ago got a new CEO too, and was plagued by poor management. But this group, we know that the aerospace group has been absolutely on fire, in terms of performance. Here's the XAR ETF has just gone, and I think, by the way, this is due for a pullback at this point. That's a very toppy looking candle. But maybe we see just a little bit of rotation within the group. So XAR, equally weighted aerospace and defense. Boeing, of course, is in there. It's an equally weighted ETF. But I just like the little check back. And, there could be the story of, China ordering jets. Don't know if that's going to happen. But I like the check back here. And also, I know it's made a big move from the lows, but also it's not at those previous highs, and it's got a ways to go before you can get there. So yes, I did get long Boeing with a tight leash. So everything is going to have a tight leash on it, in terms of, especially if I'm buying something after a move like this. But yeah, so I'm long Boeing.
ASTS getting added to the Russell 1000. We know Russell Rebalance Day is coming on the fourth Friday in June. ASTS is one that's going to be going into the Russell 1000. They just had a press release of 7:30. It's interesting because these were all announced, but then you have individual companies releasing, press releases to basically pop their stocks up more, even on the official announcements there. ASTS is trading up about 50 cents. It's been flying, man. I mean, pun fully intended. The stock has been $22 a week ago, and it's $35 here now. You trade an ASTS?
I think this, going back to our conversation on Tesla and whether or not those contracts are going to stick or the possibility of getting canceled, I think this also moved nicely on that. So, yes, don't know, but it can survive with Starlink. So, I think that you got to ring the register. I think that's my opinion. I don't own it, but it did get a nice bounce here. But yeah, I mean, to your point, it's made such a nice move. Like, yeah, I mean, if you were long on the break higher on 26, I would be personally ringing the register on this.
Ratings, 855, we've been trying to do ratings. One that I highlighted is coming from Redburn Atlantic, and they are doing a pairs trade, and they are upgrading Yum to buy, and they are downgrading McDonald's to sell. That is downgrades for McDonald's, I believe, 2 days in a row here. Mickey D's, slow and steady, starting to decline here. It's been, it's a stock that has a lower beta, doesn't usually move around a lot, has 2.36% dividend. Has some support, got yesterday down to 299.84. It looks like it's going to retest that support here today on the dreaded sell downgrade from Redburn Atlantic. What about Mickey D's, Mr. CF?
Yeah, for just short-term trading, I would watch those lows. I mean, it did have a nice bounce yesterday off the lows. So, if you're looking at doing something in McDonald's, I would watch those lows from yesterday to see if they hold and if buyers reemerge. But that's tough. Two back-to-back downgrades. That's not an easy situation to deal with. So, just keep for round numbers, watch 300. The stock's trading right around there this morning. If it goes below 300, it's could maybe see a trip down to that 200-day moving average. But this has been a tough name too. While it's hasn't shown much, it didn't really get hit that hard back in March and April. It hasn't done anything to the upside either, so it's a bit stagnant, I would say. There's a chart request for Starbucks. Starbucks has been making a nice little move from the lows too. Yum Brands is kind of tough. These names again, there's just not a lot of oomph in these names. Yeah, but Starbucks, maybe sees a move back up to the 200-day moving average. You mentioned Yum Brands. I don't know, what's that? Taco Bell is Yum Brands. Yeah, this is a tough one too. Yes. I would watch that
Taco
50-day
Bell,
moving average.
KFC.
A lot of questions on APLD from the chat.
And
want to go a little... Sorry.
Yeah, you could talk APLD again. We talked to Pablo. Asked for APLD every day. He loves this stock. He asks for it every single day. Joel did a technical forum on a couple days ago, but it has moved a couple days, and he wants your opinion now here on it. CF. He is hardcore APLD. What are your thoughts here? Applied Digital.
Okay, sorry about that. I would watch 1350. This stock is again, like, it's a definition of momentum. It's been moving on momentum, and so again, like, you can't really talk too much about like fundamentals after a move from $7 after it doubled, basically in a week. So I would watch to see for the momentum. I think be careful if it doesn't hold 1350. You could kind of see it's losing that. So if it breaks back above, maybe the momentum train continues, but it's already made a big move. And you got to be careful with these moves. Like, the best thing that I could say for like trade management for any of this stuff that has a move like this, like, because you're asking these types of questions at this point, it's momentum. So you got to be careful when the momentum leaves. You have to manage this with a trailing stop, and you've got to reset that. If a name moves from $10 to $14, right, and it makes that a 40% move, you've got to manage that based on, putting down a trailing stop and say, okay, where are you going to, understanding that it's had, major momentum. And sometimes traders don't want to hear that because it's not a sexy way to trade, but it is what it is. Like, there's no more, like, this is already broken out. It's broken out on big volume. Now it's just trade management 101. So there's nothing that's going to, whether me, Dennis, Joel, whether we like the stock or not, it doesn't matter. It's moving on pure momentum. So you got to manage it like a big boy, big girl, and like put your trailing stop and say, hey, what are you going to do? Because these stocks can very well, I'm not saying today or tomorrow, but it wouldn't surprise me if these also retraced 50%. So you got to manage that, as a trader.
Yeah, rug pulls happen, especially when stocks go parabolic. Final thoughts here, Christian. Just, this has obviously been, a pretty quiet morning here. It's been a quiet market here really for the better part of a couple of weeks now. I mean, we really got up to SPY 595 2 weeks ago. We dipped a bit, and then we just kind of been in consolidation station here. Is this consolidation to go higher, Christian? I just want to get your thoughts, on obviously, where you think this market's headed.
Well, we also have some events this week we've got right now the administration is talking to China, so we don't know how that's going to end up. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some type of a little bit of a dip. I mean, you go back to last Thursday where all of a sudden all the momentum names sold off. Next day they get bought right back. So for now, I don't know what changes that, but right now, buying dips is definitely happening in this market. But I would watch to hear what, some of the economics that we've got this week. We've got tomorrow, you've got your CPI report. And then on Thursday, the PPI report. So I wouldn't overlook that. I would be worried if the inflation does, jack back up. So, I think that might come into play too. Your closing thoughts.
Yeah, like I mean, inflation data is going to be an issue. I don't think it's going to be a needle mover here for the next. I don't think it's going to be a needle mover here this week. I think inflation creeps back in the second half. So I think this market is going to get a deal announcement here, and it's going to be all-time highs on deals. And we're not that far from it, within striking distance. And I do think more deal announcements are coming. I know it's been like we haven't got one for a while, so people think they're not coming. I think they are coming. So. Yeah, so that's my final thoughts. I still think all-time highs are on the horizon here in June. I do think there's a rug pull in the second half, but I like the idea of making new all-time highs, sucker people in, and then pull the rug. So I think all-time highs still on schedule for sometime here in June. And that's it. So if you want to continue this conversation, join us over in the STN room. That's StockTraderNetwork.com. If you want to sign up, the promo code is PMPSTN, I believe. Yes, PMPSTN for a $20 discount. So come on over. We'll continue this conversation in the STN room. Christian will be on at Christian's Corner at 2 o'clock. He'll be back with that. We've got, other obviously lots of other guests. I don't know who the guest is today on the STN room. Maybe Brentster knows, but we'll be in there doing some analysis. Joel will be there as well. So jump on in and join us.
Have a great day.